Hey guys, I want to share with you a very special interview I did with my dear friend Winifred Morice. Now, Winifred was Richard Simmons' nutritionist. She wrote his cookbooks, she helped develop Deal a Meal, and I met her on a cruise ship, and we have had so much fun and some great conversations. Winifred is very knowledgeable about nutrition and weight loss, and I am just delighted to share this interview with you guys. Enjoy. Okay, here we are, special treat. We are here with my dear friend Winifred, who is so full of interesting stories. I think you guys are really going to enjoy this. Now, Winifred is from New Zealand, first of all, so her accent is just charming. And I met Winifred on a Richard Simmons weight loss cruise. She was on his staff, and she is his nutritionist. Now, Winifred is she was the backbone of the whole Richard Simmons organization. She worked on the Deal a Meal and the Food Mover and all of his cookbooks. She's had a huge part in, if not completely. And Winifred, I just want to ask you, first of all, how did you get hooked up with Richard Simmons and how long did you work for him?
The first question, Kathy, and by the way, I just want to say hello to you and to all your viewers. It's lovely to be here today. And working with Richard happened in a most circuitous way. And it was one of those things that I think was just meant to be, because I felt he could use my expertise, and I wrote him a long letter telling him that. And he wrote me the sweetest note back, thanking me, telling me he would keep me in mind, and promptly forgot all about me. And the message, the interview actually came from his staff in Philadelphia asking me if I would like to write a cookbook for Richard. It was completely not connected to Richard himself. It was so strange, and it all kind of came together. And ultimately, we worked together for 16 years. Oh, and wow. It was a long time. And I've never laughed so much in my entire life, or had as much fun, or met as many amazing people. I still get emotional just thinking of the friendships that were formed in those years. It was so special. And you know. And there were difficult times. I always say he was like a 5-year-old with power, because he was exactly as people saw him on television. That's exactly who he was. I mean, one time I went for a rather important meeting about a cookbook I was doing, and he hopped up on his desk and started singing songs from a Broadway musical, entertaining me and forgetting all about the fact that we were there for a meeting. He was just completely his own person, and that was the joy of it all. It was wonderful.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So that must have been incredible. I know you used to go on the cruises with him, where there was at one point he was going twice a year on these cruises. What was that like, traveling with him all over the...
Well, it was interesting, because he was very accommodating and great until about Wednesday, and then his attention span dissipated a little bit. I always teased him and said he was so lucky that when he was a child he wasn't put on Ritalin, because he had attention deficit disorder, but he would never have been the person he was meant to be if he'd been drugged as a child. So I'm so glad that did not happen, because we wouldn't have wanted to change him. And he had staff around him that could refocus him and gear him into the job that had to be done, so that we survived the cruises wonderfully. And I know all the participants felt very rewarded by those cruises. The captain said to me one time, he said, "I don't understand it." He said, your group loses so much weight on these cruises. I mean, we would average about 1,500 pounds in a week, something like that, with all those people. He said, "So I don't understand why the ship isn't a little higher in the water." And I said, "Oh, but Captain, we're just a small portion of the entire ship. And while we're losing weight, the rest of the people on the cruise are all gaining weight by overeating and overindulging and going home thinking that all their clothes have shrunk.
Yes.
So it balanced out. But we did have incredible success. We did.
You know, I lost 10 pounds. I've been on 3 cruises. I lost 10 pounds every cruise.
Wow.
And it was, for me, you know, I went on those cruises when I was over 400 pounds. I think I was like 450, something like that. It was hard to travel.
Yes.
And my first cruise, I didn't ever leave the ship because I was in the 400s. It was everything just to go to everything. But
Yeah.
let me tell you this. For the first time in my life, when I got on those cruise ships, it was like a perfect world. For 1 week, and I could get emotional talking about this, because for 1 week, I wasn't judged for my weight.
Right.
I was loved. I got hugged. Every 20 minutes, I got a hug from somebody. And you know, fat people don't get a lot of hugs. And I found my value on that cruise ship. And you were a huge part of that.
Thank you,
And I
Kathy.
just want you to know that it may have been a job for you, but you changed lives. And I know Richard had a huge part of it, but I'm telling you, the staff, and this is what I've always said about Richard, that Richard was a success, but part of his success was because he knew good people. He surrounded himself with really good people.
That's true. That is true, Kathy. I value the wonderful people who were part of that staff, and we all worked our tails off. But you know what, when you said it was a job, for some reason I never felt it was a job. My heart was completely in it, and I felt the love that I shared, and I loved everybody I met, and I still do. It's a lifelong connection. Nobody can ever take that away. And I still communicate with so many people who were on those cruises.
Yep.
Some of them still share their stories, share their ups and downs with me, and I always do reply. I always do. I care, just really care.
Yeah, I will forever be grateful for Richard for being the catalyst for some of the most treasured relationships I have in my life still today.
So true. Yes, I think that's the biggest gift he gave all of us, really. And he just was amazing in that time when this was so needed. I mean, today, I think body size is so much more accepted today than it was way back then. I mean, it really was difficult. People couldn't even buy clothes. They had to go to Lane Bryant, and I think that was about the only place. And it was a very different world. So we have come a long, long way, a long way.
Well, Winifred, you are part of that change.
Thank you.
And that change happened because of all your dedication, and your heart was in it, obviously. So let's talk about what you do best, which is you're good with, well, you do a lot of things best, but let's talk about one of the things you do really best is your knowledge on nutrition and, you know, behavior, eating and addiction. How did you get involved in the whole nutrition world?
Well, I actually studied nutrition. I did my degree in nutrition at university in New Zealand. I graduated, I think, 1965. It's so many years ago now, but I have kept up with all the changes and everything that has been going on in the world of nutrition and dieting. And I could actually open a museum of diet books from the 50s to today. And I've seen all the trends and all the emphasis on different foods at different times and different decades. And most of it I've really come to realize has been promoted by manufacturers and whatever they're trying to push. And we've had so much misinformation over the years. And I personally feel really sad that we misled so many people by following the food pyramid put out by the government and the guidelines, the Diabetic Association guidelines for health, which is what we really based the dealer meal program on. And the fat was so limited and it wasn't explained fully. And I now understand so much more about the importance of really, really good fat in our diets. It's good for our brains and our skin and our eye health. And it's just knowing which fats we should be eating and which not. And I just do recommend that people stay away from all the refined oils in the grocery stores. Any oils, vegetable oils that are produced by a heat process changes the chemical structure of those oils, and they don't benefit our bodies. I like to think when I'm eating that what I'm putting in my mouth is something my body is actually excited to receive, and it says, wow, I can do something with this, and I need this for whatever process is going on. And so I still practice what I teach because it's of value to me, because I just love being here so much that I think it's worthwhile to put into my body what it really needs to stay here and feel vitally alive. And I'm very grateful for all the knowledge that I've accumulated over the years. And I love working with doctors who are willing to change as new information comes out. And sadly, the American Heart Association is still stuck in old values, and so many just regular doctors still don't know very much about real nutrition. And fortunately, I do work with doctors who understand real nutrition, and so it's a joy to eat in the way that best benefits me. I'm 74 now, Kathy, and I don't have any aches or pains. Well, I did have a pain a couple of weeks ago when I fell on my tailbone doing a longevity exercise. It was pretty funny, but I honestly wake up in the morning and jump up just the way I did when I was in my 30s. No, I just can go all day long and I don't have any reason to stop. So it's great. Wow. I love it. I know. I'm grateful. I'm so grateful. But I've chosen that. I choose to eat what benefits my body to stay this way. So that's great. I love it.
Wow. So let's talk about that a little bit, Winifred. You've been working with a doctor who is known he's been on Dr. Oz, and he's well known in the country, and he's kind of he's a game changer. You want to share a little bit about him and what you're doing?
I'd be happy to, Kathy. His name is Dr. Stephen Gundry, and he's actually a world-renowned cardiologist. He's done more open heart surgeries, and especially on babies, heart surgeries on babies, than any other doctor in the world. And he even created some of the equipment that is used in today's heart surgeries. He knows what our insides truly look like. But before he went to medical school, he was a nutritionist, and he studied nutrition. And he's a real scientist. He follows everything with results, and he uses his patients really in a way as guinea pigs to track with our blood results, seeing what we're eating and what changes and what doesn't change. And I'm happy to be on his program, and I've been doing it now since 2010. And his book, he came out with something called Dr. Gundry's Diet Evolution first, which really dealt with sugar and diabetes, more that sort of emphasis. But now his new book, The Plant Paradox, has been a bestseller. It's been on the New York Times bestseller list, and I'm trying to think the name of the Clarkson, what's her name? The country singer who was on The Voice. What's her first name? Can't think. Anyway, she's on it too. And so after she talked about why her weight had changed. Kelly Clarkson, that's what I'm thinking of.
Yes, Kelly. Yeah.
Yes. So her whole body kind of changed after she started the program. It's not a diet for losing weight, but you just lose the weight as your body adjusts to the new way of eating. And Dr. Gundry talks about all the foods you can eat rather than all the foods you can't eat. You focus on what you can eat and what you should be eating for your body to flourish. So he advocates lots of avocados, lots of olive oil. You know, I'll tell you a story about olive oil. When you're really making olive oil part of your daily intake, it has to be good olive oil. And there are all sorts of olive oils. And if you put a little spoonful of olive oil into your mouth and swallow it, if it grabs you in the back of your throat and you cough a little bit, that's a good olive oil. It shouldn't do that. It's a pure good olive oil. And I say if it makes you cough 3 times, it's a keeper. It's a keeper. So I've managed to find a really good olive oil close to where I live. I should let people know I live in Mexico and near the Guadalupe Valley, which is known for its wine and olive oil and olive trees everywhere. So it's quite beautiful. But olive oil is the standard for the Mediterranean diet. I mean, Dr. Gundry says the only real reason to eat is to get more olive oil into our bodies. So he suggests we just pour olive oil over everything with gay abandon. And I'm living proof that avocados and olive oil do not make you fat. They just don't make you fat, because I've been losing weight eating this way, and I feel so clear somehow. I don't have cravings. I mean, I can tell you more about what it's based on if you want to know.
Yeah, share what you...
Paradox, the name is chosen because, of course, we should be eating lots of vegetables and greens and things those are very healthy for us. But there are certain plants that just don't want to be eaten. And so they have mechanisms in them to kind of protect themselves and to make you not feel very good when you eat them. But we become so used to eating things like this that we don't really notice what they're doing to us. But once you take them out of your eating program, your gut settles down, you have better digestion, your aches and pains go away. If you get migraines, they're likely to go away. Skin problems will diminish. It sounds fantastical, but it's really just removing these little plant proteins in certain plants. What we're removing are the lectins in certain plants. And the green leafy vegetables don't have any lectins. All the cruciferous vegetables like kale and Brussels sprouts, cabbage, cauliflower, all those are really good for us, and all the lettuce family, and onions and celery and asparagus, things like that. But anything with seeds like cucumbers and zucchini and green beans and squash have these little lectins because they have seeds. And so they really fit into the botanical, in the botanical sense, they fit into the fruit family. And Dr. Gundry says that fruit is nature's candy, and we should treat it as candy, and it should be just a social treat, because everything that turns to sugar includes fruit. Agave syrup, honey, sugar, all these things just turn to glucose in our bodies. Well, fructose is fruit sugar. It acts a little differently, but ultimately it's not in our best interest. And the less insulin has to be pumped out of our pancreas, the better for our health and longevity and the aging process, actually.
Yes.
So for people who might be interested, it's impossible to tell you what this diet is all about. Well, it's not really a diet, it's a lifestyle. But I'll hold up the book, The Plant Paradox by Dr. Stephen Gundry, and you can get it at the library. And actually, it's a really fun read. it's an exciting read. It's almost like a mystery novel because he's uncovering all these things that we've never known about. Because our bodies haven't evolved in the last, I don't know how many million years, to be any different from the way they were before all these foods that we're now eating were discovered. And tomatoes, for instance, they're fine if you take the seeds out and peel them, which you can do. And sometimes pressure cooking foods will kill lectins in them, but he explains it all in the book. And I really just think if people are tired of feeling sick and tired, or they have tried every kind of diet, and they just want to understand what's going on in the body and why it works this way, this is something that's so worth trying, because it isn't an effort at all, because your cravings go away and somehow you just want to eat what you can eat. And I'd have to change doctors if he didn't let me have 6 ounces of red wine a day and 1 ounce of dark chocolate. And I started with 73% and now I'm up to 85%. The 73 feels too sweet to me now, but I can't eat a whole ounce of it. If you weigh an ounce of that dark chocolate, it's quite a lot. So I just have 1 little square and 6 ounces of red wine, and I'm a happy camper.
Wow.
So,
that's living large, Winifred. Chocolate and wine? Are you kidding me?
I know. It's wonderful. But you see, white wine has a completely different effect in the body. It has way too much sugar. But so if you wanted something that's white, you can actually have champagne. You could have 6 ounces of champagne because it is full of polyphenols, which are very, very health supporting. So champagne or red wine, or just 1 ounce of spirits. But he doesn't make me feel in the least bit deprived, and I'm a happy person. It's all good.
So Winifred, do you track your food, or is it mostly you choose what's better for you?
I don't track it at all. I'm just choosing what I need, the foods that are best for my body, and I eat whenever I'm hungry. And I have forgotten about the word calorie. And he explains in the book why we really don't have to worry about calories, because all the calorie counts were calibrated in a laboratory originally, so that they're all done in a way that's not, I mean, our bodies handle things differently in different ways, and we just don't have to be aware of them. I mean, if we really were counting calories, do you think that I could consume 3/4 of a cup of olive oil in a day?
Wow.
The calories?
Wow. Yeah.
But if I eat, well, first of all, if I eat cake or a piece of bread or something like that, it sets me up to want more. But if I don't have it, I don't want it. But after you've really healed your gut on this program, and it's all about healing your gut. Dr. Gundry says all our major health problems are caused by the little things, tiny little things, and mostly they're called lectins. So it's the lectins that can cause huge lifelong problems and immune problems, autoimmune problems.
Yes.
So these things can be arrested and stopped by following this program. So it's huge and it's real. And I've got my appointment with Dr. Gundry next month, and I'm really looking forward to it. And Kathy, if my blood work is really, really good, I get a gold star. So I love that. He's got a gold star on my blood report, and he doesn't give them out lightly. So I have to work for it. So when I know I'm going to get my blood tested, then I'm really good for about a month before that. But because I've been doing it now for so many years, I don't have to be 100% on everything all the time. And he actually encourages you to live in the real world and don't be afraid to splurge a little and see how your body reacts. We're all an experiment as we go along.
Yes.
And maybe after a while, and you're feeling really healthy, and you can handle certain things that you might not have been able to earlier. So it's exciting.
It is. Well, Winifred, shall we talk about your support group that you have on Facebook?
Certainly, yes.
You want to share?
This is something that just has sprouted. It's just been amazing how much footage we've got from this. My dear friend, Bo Bendana, who is a dear friend down here in Mexico, is in her 40s and was suffering from rheumatoid arthritis. She was on all kinds of medication. She tried everything, even stem cells, all sorts of things. And I gave her the book to read, and she was just hooked. And her husband was teasing me and saying, oh no, now we're going to have to hear the word lectins all day long. And when he saw how well she became and how she is completely cured, he doesn't worry about lectins anymore. And they travel the world, they do all sorts of things, and she still can just stay within the parameters of the program without any trouble. But she decided that she just had to share this with more people. So she decided to start this support group called the Plant Paradox Support Group. And she's the founder of it, and she made me the administrator. So it's just the two of us. And we get at least, I would say, 70 people a day wanting to join.
Wow.
And she's the one that goes through all those. And we don't let people join who haven't really read the book, who don't understand, who maybe if there are a lot of trolls on the internet, as you know. And so we're pretty selective about who joins. And if we find somebody joins and they're not supportive, they're not kind or generous, and they are trying to promote their own agenda, I just hit the delete button and they're gone. But with all that said, we have over 9,000 people in our group now, and it's growing daily. It is amazing. Yeah.
Well, that speaks for itself.
It does. And
it does.
They're the loveliest people. And these are people with, I mean, huge problems. People who've been sick for years and years and years who are now really feeling well, coming out of that abyss. And their weight is stabilizing. People are just blown away with because your body just, once it's healthy and everything is working well, it lets go somehow of the weight. It's healthy enough to just let go. It's amazing. So it's just one thing to look at and think of as a possibility certainly if you've got any aches or pains and you don't wake up in the morning feeling 100%, there's a way to change that. So I'm a real advocate of Dr. Gundry. He's the sweetest man and very genuine. So I'm very lucky. And it's funny because when I first saw his original book in a Costco in Palm Springs, that's where his office is. And I bought the book thinking, oh, I'll get Don. You always think someone else needs it instead of you. So I said, oh, that's my husband. He needs to read this because he had a stroke in 2006.
Oh.
He needs to read this. And then after I read the book, I thought we should make an appointment for Don to go and see this doctor. And then the more I thought about it, I thought, well, I'd like to see him, but there's nothing wrong with me. What would I say? Why would I be going? And then I just thought, I'm just going to make an appointment anyway and see what had my blood tested. And it was funny, but it wasn't funny. Don was much healthier than I am. And I was the one, I had the gene for Alzheimer's, and Don doesn't. But it's fine knowing it because keeping on track with this program, I don't need to get any of the symptoms or any of the, I don't need to get it. I can stop it from happening. And I had the he doesn't care about your overall cholesterol numbers because they are really, gosh, that has really been pushed by doctors and manufacturers. It's the size of the particles, and most doctors don't check for that. And I've got the nasty little mean particles, so I have to be careful not to eat too much saturated fat because that wouldn't help them. But Don has big, bouncy, fluffy particles, so he can eat whatever he likes. So it's not fair.
No. Well, so saturated fats, for example, is? What would be a
Could be
saturated?
butter, but you can eat butter this is another thing that you find out in the book. Only butter from cows from France or Italy, because I know it sounds so weird, but cows have different kinds of milk. And Dr. Gundry says he has never met anyone who has lactose intolerance. It's that they're consuming milk or dairy products from the wrong kind of cow. And so um, it's called an A1 cow or an A2 cow. And in New Zealand and Australia now, they're actually marking the cartons of milk A2 milk, because they know that this is the milk that's health supportive and the other milk is not. It's a big problem for dairy farmers who have herds of A1 cows. I have a cousin in New Zealand who is in that situation, and he has 3 little boys who cannot drink any of his milk, any of the milk from his farm. But you can't just introduce a few A2 cows in. You have to change the whole herd, because you can't mix the 2 milks. But the cows in France and Italy are A2 cows. So butter and cheese from France and Italy are health supportive, and of course, goat and sheep cheese, you don't have to worry about that. And buffalo burrata cheese is good, those sorts of things. But that's why I say reading this book is like reading a mystery novel. And he gives so many funny stories that that really prove his points. And he's got real evidence, of course, that all this is real. And now the world is starting to take note and really direct people to the healthy kinds of dairy products. So there's a lot that's new and a lot to learn. Very interesting stuff.
That's fascinating.
It is. It is. When you said before you like to learn, you will love reading this book.
I'm going to read it. I promise you. I will read it.
You'll love it.
Get it as soon as I can, and I will read the book.
Good. I'm glad. I'm so glad. It's so much fun talking with you, Kathy, and you look fabulous. And I'm so proud of all your success and you just look so amazing. You are so on the right track. I'm so excited for you. So proud.
Thank you so much, Winifred. I just appreciate you too. This is a little love fest where it's going on.
Yes, and I know you're going to come and stay with me when you can. And looking forward to that. I'm going to hold you to it.
Yes, as soon as I can travel, and I'm about 50 pounds away from being able to travel.
Yay. And I'll pick you up in San Diego and bring you to Mexico. You don't have to worry about that.
Oh, okay.
I'll come and get you. I will.
Oh, you're so awesome. Winifred, my biggest struggle, of course, my eating, the food plan is definitely important, but my biggest struggle all my life has been the behavioral part. Yes. The addiction part of the food. Do you have any thoughts on that? Do you feel like that is, what are your feelings? Because I know that when we did those cruises, you kind of worked on that area. You're the one that helped the work with the inner child work and that kind of thing. How connected do you think that is to obesity?
Well, I think that there's a lot more than just behavioral things, because I will tell you that people who have problems with weight are some of the most disciplined people I've ever met in my life, because they try so hard and then they have these incredible cravings to just go completely out of control. And I don't think it's your fault. I think there's something chemical inside that is spewy and haywire and causes this to happen. And that's why gut health is so important, to restore that balance, so that Dr. Gundry talks about you being hacked inside, that there are hackers working against you inside. And when you can get rid of those, it's such a relief not to have those cravings. And so the addiction part of it, I mean, yes, you'll always maybe crave certain things. It's funny because I do hypnosis as well. If I really crave something that I would love to have, I can actually imagine the taste of it in my mouth. I can actually imagine eating it and enjoying it and not having to actually consume it. I can say, yes, I remember what apple pie and ice cream looks like. And if I really wanted apple pie and ice cream, I could have it in a small amount. But that's where the addiction part comes in. When you have a little bit, you just want more. And it works against us when that kicks in. But I do think that if you're covering feelings with food, and this is what I used to get into on the cruise, that there were so many undealt with issues around obesity, around even just being overweight in school, the pain of being obese, and how you protect yourself with more layers of obesity instead of being able to get away from it. You protect yourself, and of course that's just normal to do that. And it's finding different ways to deal with those feelings. And do you remember how I taught the love letter technique?
Yes.
That, to me, is one of the most powerful techniques, because it's all very well to say, well, you should just get over it, just cheer up and just be positive. You cannot be positive if you have a bunch of negative feelings inside you that won't go away. You have to deal with those negative issues. But it's important to realize that negative feelings are just part of the whole truth. And usually under anger about something is a feeling of hurt and betrayal. Under that is often fear that you can't fix it, you can't do anything about it. And then if you can get under that, there's usually a part of you that will be honest enough to say, well, maybe I had a part in this, or maybe there's a part that I could fix. And way down underneath, there's always love and acceptance and that positive feeling. But you can't just go there without going through the steps. And you can't just pretend that everything is fine. You have to kind of go through the pain to get to the other side. And I know on the cruises, Richard said he wasn't going to let me teach any more of those classes because Carnival was charging him way too much for tissue. He said that the ship's just going through way too many tissues because people were really releasing feelings of hurt and betrayal and fear and feelings of not belonging. Just incredible pain was released and hopefully replaced with a feeling of love and acceptance. And so
I remember, Winifred, I remember being on that cruise, and one night a week, Richard you had the evening.
Yes.
And you did an exercise with us.
Yeah.
Where we kind of went back into our childhood, and we learned how to nurture that little child that is aching so badly inside.
Yeah.
Now, I want you to explain a little more about that, but I can tell you that was a life-changing experience for me, because I finally realized what I needed to do is nurture that little girl that was missing something. Now, I haven't exactly gotten a full grip on it, but I recognize the feelings now and what I need to do about it. You want to share a little bit about that?
That's so special. I'm so grateful for you sharing that. And I actually like to, in everyday life, if you've got any issues going on, you can say, well, if you have a little pet name for the little girl in you, what you were called when you were a little kid, or what your parents called you, you might have a little pet name. My pet name for my little self is Fui, because I couldn't say Winifred, so I called myself Fui. And so little Fui, I will consult little Fui to see how she feels about something. And then I will consult my supposedly rational adult self. And then there's always that higher part of us, the part of us that has all the answers and knows it all. And just to tune into that and see if the three parts of me will agree on something. But it is so important to recognize that little part of you and to use that little name that you had when you were a child and nurture that. And I find I had someone to help me. Well, I was calling it my office, but we've changed it to my studio because I'm creative and a studio is a much better word. But she made me write how Feng thought about certain things. I had to answer all these questions. What did Feng think? What did my adult self think? And my higher self, my adult self was quite ready to release a lot of things that I didn't need anymore. And Feng kept just saying, I want to keep all my stuff. I like my stuff. And she was quite petulant. And I thought, what a little brat. Well, we have to deal with that. You know, it's just, but it's really wonderful to know that the little part of you is so alive and well and needs to have a say and wants to be acknowledged and wants to be included and certainly wants to be nourished and nurtured. So when you're feeding yourself, you're feeding that little girl in you good food so that she can thrive with you as you get older, and that she's still right there right until your dying day. That little girl in you is there, alive and well.
Yeah, you know, that makes so much sense. It puts together a puzzle piece for me, what you just said. I just had an aha moment.
Good. Do you want to
I know that people who have addictions,
yes,
they tend to stop growing emotionally when they start their addiction. So that broken time in their life,
that's true.
quit learning to nurture that little child. So they remained emotionally that child where they started.
Yes, and it's so important to access the grown-up, the person who is right here, right now, making daily decisions. And then there is that wise, beautiful, spiritual part of you that has all that inner connection, knows your whole story. And if you're just still, I like to write, to do journaling, and just see what different parts of me want to say. That's what I was doing with accessing all these different parts. I mean, sometimes I will let my little girl write with my non-dominant hand. And,
okay.
And you will find that little girl or little boy will say things that will surprise you when it's difficult to write, but the little child is writing and they might have something interesting to say. It's a wonderful exercise to do. There are so many ways to access all these precious parts of you.
Yeah. I remember, Winifred, and maybe our viewers could find help in this. I remember you had a handout that you gave us regarding writing a letter.
Oh.
You want to share some of that?
You mean the love letter or the 6-month letter?
Well, I remember the love letter. I don't know much. I can't remember the 6-month, but
I'd be happy to send you a copy of that, the form, and you could share it with everybody. I'd be so happy to do that. And I always acknowledge where I learned that and where I got that, and that was from Dr. John Gray, who wrote Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. He was one of my dearest and most compelling mentors and teachers. And most of what I taught on the cruises, I learned from him. And he really changed my life and helped me, gave me the tools to be able to translate it and help other people with what he helped me with. So I always acknowledge that it's not mine, it's his. And
well, that's okay. We all learn from each other. I had forgotten that John Gray was a friend of yours, and I remember we had a few conversations about that. Yeah, I would love a copy of that. Then I could share it with my viewers. If you wanted to send me that, that would be great.
I will. And then the other letter that I love, and I still recommend that people do this, if you're not where you want to be in your life at this moment, write a letter to your dearest friend or somebody that means a lot to you, pretending that it's 6 months from now. And you write it as if all these amazing things have happened in your life and you're just blown away by all these successes and all the different things that have happened. And it's the most powerful letter. So this is what happened to me. I thought, oh, I love this letter. So it was before I met Don. So I wrote this letter to my best friend, Judy, that how I met this amazing man. And I was so in love, and he was everything I'd ever wanted in a husband. And I just raved about this person. And I just popped the letter into a book and forgot about it. I never gave it to Judy. I wrote it to her, but I didn't ever send it. And it wasn't until after I had married Don that I found the letter. Really? And Judy is the one who introduced me to Don. Judy introduced me. And when I read the letter, Kathy, this is the truth, I thought, oh my goodness, I couldn't even, in all my vivid imagination, I couldn't even imagine how wonderful he was. He was way more wonderful than I had described in my letter that I thought was the best thing in the world. So it's a powerful letter, but the reality can be even more powerful.
I'm going to do that this weekend.
Do it.
I mean, I just, I don't want to be alone the rest of my life. And I want to be healthy and get past this plateau. So I'm going to write a letter. I'm going to write it to you.
Good. I would love that. And when you say you don't want to be alone, when you say I do lots of different things, I also became a Feng Shui practitioner in 1997. And one of the things I learned about Feng Shui in people's homes,
yes,
people would say, oh, they wanted to be in a relationship or they wanted a partner, and they would have soulful pictures on their walls, maybe a lone woman on the wall of just one person. And I said, get rid of that. Put people in twos. Put all your little things in twos around your house so that you want everything. You don't want to just single things. Or it's interesting how you can just change the energy in your house. Well, the Chinese say you can change, if you want to get unstuck about something, just move 27 things in your house. Just move them around and change the energy. Move your furniture around. Just change things up. And it really does make a difference. But so one person who wanted a relationship, she had a great big plant hanging over the toilet in her bathroom. And when I went to use the toilet, I had to duck a little bit, but I said, you will never find it. You will never be able to have a man in your life if a man cannot stand up to pee in your bathroom. You have to get rid of that plant and make it conducive to male energy. And sometimes when we've lived alone for many years, sometimes we make our homes too feminine. You know, too many pillows and frilly things, and John just hates too many pillows on the bed. That's just impractical. Men don't like that stuff. They want it to work and be realistic. So if you're bringing male energy into your house, you have to look around with, I call it Feng Shui eyes, looking as if you're just seeing the environment for the very first time. And you're looking around thinking, now, if a man came into my house, what would he think? How would he view it? And maybe I could change a few things here and there. It's all just fun. It has to be fun every day.
Yeah. Well, I guess, it's not so much that I'm on this manhunt, but my life is opening up. I'm going to start being able to do things that I haven't done in years or for the first time. So it would be nice if in this last season of my life that I would have someone to enjoy that with.
And that when you said you're not going on a manhunt, good. You never want to be on the hunt. It happens when you're least likely, when you're least looking for it. It could be the last thing on your mind. And it should be, because that's when you're just doing what you love to do in life, being your own perfect self and having fun. And then you just don't know what might come in, especially after you write your letter.
Yeah, well, I've always felt like regarding finding your soulmate, instead of looking for the right person, you work on being the right person, and it's all going to fall together.
Exactly. I remember Dr. Barbara DeAngelis saying, you have to make a shopping list for everything you're looking for in a person, everything. You make a list of every quality you want in a person, and then you become everything on that list. And
I remember I remember watching her on Oprah years ago.
yes,
And
yes,
she talked about that.
right.
I
Yep.
remember that very clearly. Wow.
Yes, so
You're
we
so fun to talk to. I could talk to you for hours and hours.
well, we will when you come and stay.
Okay.
And then
It's
we'll do a program. We'll do a program from Mexico. That would be fun.
yes. Yes. Wouldn't that be fun?
Yes.
Oh, let's do it.
Yes, that's something to plan for. Yes, Kathy. I say name it and claim. I mean, yes, name it and claim it.
That's right. Well, Winifred, let's wind things up here. As much as sad to say, I don't really want to, but we don't want to hold people really long here. But I want to just, how can people find your group on Facebook? And can you tell us the process of that in case somebody's interested?
Gosh, I might have to send it to, it's just the Plant Paradox support group.
Okay.
And if they type that in on Facebook, it's on Facebook.
That's all we need.
Yes, that should work.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
There are a few different support groups, but ours is the one where Bo Bandana is the founder, and my name would be there, Winifred Morice. Okay. And we have about 9,000 members, so that's
okay. And would it be helpful if you knew where they got their source, if they said that they heard your interview and that's what brought them there?
Yes, if they could, because Bo asks questions when people are wanting to join. So that could be helpful. And I would, I know you'll probably send something to me about how I can let people know about this interview, because some of the people on the Plant Paradox might like to see it as well.
Yes, so, well, I can send you a link that will link you right to the YouTube channel. So, and that would help me out as well. So we'll scratch each other's back. How about that?
Quid pro quo. Great. It's lovely talking with you, Kathy. I enjoy it. So anytime we can have a chat, I'm all up for it.
Good, good. We'll do this again, because it has made me just ache to see you in real life again. It's been motivating, and it's another reason for me to take better care of that little Kathy, because she has a little, what did you call yourself?
Fui.
Fui.
And Fui, I spelled it F-U-I. Fui. Fui.
Well, little Kathy is excited to meet Fui.
Oh, good.
Again.
Good, good, good. That'll be wonderful, Kathy. So
I will never forget the day that you and I, on the cruise ship, you probably don't even remember, but we went shopping in Mazatlan. And it was so much fun shopping with you. So much fun, because you are so knowledgeable, and you had a little story about everything. And you knew all the jewelry and the different stones and where they were from. And it was like, it was just fun to shop with you. You are a delight, Winifred.
Well, thank you. I'll go shopping with you anytime.
Okay. Good deal. Okay, Winifred. Well, thanks for coming, and we'll talk soon.
Yes. Okay. Bye for now.
Okay.